Okay. Good morning all and welcome to Cabinet on Thursday the 18th of September. I'll begin with apologies for absence first, please.
Just from Councillor Alison Anthony.
Okay, and Councillor, not yet, so no, absolutely. So thank you. We'll note Councillor Anthony's apologies. We move then to disclosures of personal and prejudicial interest. Are there any for today's agenda? Councillor Smith.
Yeah, item 7, local authority governor appointment. I've got dispensation to remain but not vote.
Okay, thank you very much. Any others? No, we'll move on then to the minutes of the previous meeting, pages 1 to 6 of your agenda. I've not been notified of any changes, but happy to take them if there are any today. If not, I'm happy to move them as a true record. Could I ask for a seconder, please?
Happy to second.
Thank you, Councillor Williams. Any other? All happy to agree? Okay, thank you very much. On announcements of Leader of the Council, I just have one today. Firstly, to thank our teams for the work they've been doing over the weekend to try and deal with the flooding issues in Cumbula, as well as in other areas like Penclawdd. Our teams have been stretched, and was noting the meteorological reports which say we've had more rain in the last 14 days in Swansea than we've had in the last 4 months. So the rainfall levels are exceptional. As we've said publicly, whilst the council will continue to do all it can to support Welsh Water and the landowner who is responsible as the root cause of the flooding to resolve those issues, we are taking a step today to write formally to the landowner to ask them to outline what they are doing to take measures to resolve the issues on their land so that our teams can support the clean-up work around the public highway and to get that public highway open as quickly as possible. With the continued rainfall that we're seeing, heavy rainfall that we're seeing, it is obviously a challenge. We've deployed, along with other agencies, pumping equipment to try and open the roads as quickly as possible. But given the root cause remains on private land, it is a difficult and challenging situation. But we will continue to do all we can to help residents affected in that area. And again, I place on record my thanks on behalf of Cabinet for the work that's been done by our officers. So thank you very much for that. We'll move now on to public question time. Are there any public questions being received?
None received, Leader.
Okay, we'll move to councillor question time. Are there any councillors present who would like to ask a question? No, I don't think anybody's submitted today. We'll move then to local authority governor appointments. Councillor Smith.
Thank you, Leader. It gives me great pleasure to move the 2 recommendations. The 2 individuals have come forward as governors, and we know the role they play in the school system as governors, and I thank the individuals concerned.
Thank you, Councillor Smith. I'm very happy to second. Any questions or comments for Councillor Smith on this one? If not, are we all happy to agree? Okay, thank you very much. That is agreed. We'll move on to the revenue and capital budget monitoring first quarter reports. I'll call you Mr. Smith for this item. Mr. Smith.
Thank you, Leader. In terms of my technical advice, I'll just run you through the main report in normal format for our first quarter monitoring for this year. 4 recommendations in front of you in normal fashion that you're somewhat used to in terms of my advice, which I'll hand back to you in due course. Go to section 9. The overall directorate position is summarised as a just over £3 million service expenditure overspend. I would, of course, draw your attention to that. It is materially different to the first quarter last year, where it was probably at least £10 million to that, and you took steps as Cabinet and ultimately Council to rebase the structural issues in a couple of areas. I also need to add one further thing, which is this was updated at post first quarter for the settled local government pay award and an initial estimation of the additional national insurance costs. And the eagle-eyed will spot that against that 3.2 million, I've actually got 3.1 million sat in central contingency for the rest of the pay award and such like. So I consider that to be technically a no-score draw in football pool's parlance. And so you should recognise that directors and cabinet members are effectively living within budget, even though it's not quite technically directly realigned yet, given the lateness of the local government pay award paid out in August. Section 14 also references that we now do have the funding from Welsh Government for our share of national insurance. Those of you with sharp memories will remember that Mystic Ben last March went with £7.1 million. We've got 7, and there is an obligation on me to report back to Cabinet in due course, and I believe that will come to the next Cabinet cycle to update on what we've received and what we think will happen in terms of the position going forward, albeit it won't be entirely bottomed until we get to Teachers' Pay Awards settled and National Insurance actually handed over to HMRC for the rest of the year. But I thought I'd just draw your attention to that in section 14. Section 19 sets out my assumptions on the contingency fund, and at this early stage, a couple of things to note. One, technical confession, I absolutely chuck the kitchen sink at it at first quarter, so it includes things that will happen, things that might happen, and things that may not yet come to pass. I literally do put almost everything in there, and we've still got a balance on there of several £1,000,000. I have for now ring fenced, as you indicated, at Cabinet's outturn, but given it goes to Council in October for discussion in terms of my statutory review of revenue reserves, at the moment I've left it as a sub-fund, assumed it's committed. But there'll be a process in due course once it's gone to Council in October, and then probably potentially back to Cabinet for setting up detail on how it's to be spent, assuming it goes through Council with recommendations from my advice and ultimately what Cabinet may decide to do. So as I say, even with throwing absolutely everything at it, it is in balance with a little surplus on it. I haven't committed any of the rest of the central inflation provision, budgeted for just under 3.6 million, none of it allocated or needed at this point in time. The position is pulled together as a whole in section 36 in terms of the savings revenue budget summary. Overall net service overspend, which I consider to be technical only, more than offset by the balances on contingency and inflation. We do get a slight windfall short term due to the perversities of the National Insurance recompense. We have to have the fire authorities money because they can only get theirs by levying from us. So we get that for this year, but obviously they will take into account what they need in setting next year's levy from us. So overall, there is a net underspend of 3.133 million on core revenue spend. I draw your attention also to section 38. You'll be aware interest rates, base rates have been a bit sticky in coming down and long-term rates holding up. That can only be beneficial for this authority. You'll be used to a very substantial in-year underspend on capital financing, which is albeit temporary. It's been happening for a number of years. That continues. I'm estimating there'll be at least 5 million underspend, and that's after you reduce the budget by 3 million in the first place anyway, recognising that those windfalls were persisting. Section 42, 43 sets out the capital spend. It is traditional for us to be relatively low spend in the first quarter, and we do expect it to pick up. I need to draw your attention to the housing revenue account in section 51 and 52. There is a continued overspend on repairs and maintenance on the HRA. We continue to manage it by adjusting between revenue spend on repairs and maintenance and the capital programme, but that section has been beefed up a little bit this time and references that there will be additional work done on it this year, given that the overspend on repairs and maintenance is persisting. I need to say no more than that. Draw it all together in Appendix A, so it's all on a page. Once I've rattled through my words and my brief in there, you can see quite clearly service overspend, technically 3.2 million, offset by the inflation and contingency figures quite comfortably. My assumption on the interest savings of at least 5 million, and I draw your attention to the earmarked reserves line. In line with previous years, you set a pretty hefty draw from earmarked reserves, but even by first quarter, I'm already anticipating you can reduce that draw by at least £8 million. And you recall at outturn last year, effectively what you stumped up, you ended up needing none of it, so it was a rinse, rollover, repeat, and it's why you started this year with £18 million in contingency fund, which is set out in the main report. So that's the snub and some of my technical advice to you, and I'll hand back to you, Chair.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Smith. And again, thank you for the work on this and also for your excellent estimation activities in advance of this, because what you estimated proved to be pretty much spot on. A little bit of an accounting error, as we would call it, in terms of the numbers. But certainly, I think this is the first time I've ever seen a first quarter report which is in balance virtually. You know, given the other comments that you've alluded to in terms of the size of the contingency fund and other factors that will play in over the year, and the fact that generally services come back more into balance over the year, and we usually start the year in a sizable deficit, I think this is by far the most positive position I've ever seen at first quarter. There continue to be risks, and we should absolutely pay heed to those. But I think given what you've outlined there and given the firepower that we have behind, we're well placed to deal with those risks. You alluded to the intent to set up the £10 million growth fund, which is contained within that contingency at the moment. again, having discussions with cabinet members and with officers, including yourself, around the best criteria to outline around that fund, so that it has the most positive impact we possibly could hope for in our communities. So again, thank you for me, Mr. Smith, in terms of the work, and really pleased to see this report with us this morning. I think it gives us an excellent start to the financial year and a really strong financial position. So formally move the report, Councillor Lewis.
Thank you, Leader, and thank you to Mr. Smith. Happy to formally second the report. Just wanted to highlight the table at the top of page 20 in the Cabinet reports regarding just over 9 million invested in capital investment in our housing revenue, essentially new homes, new builds, and so on and so forth. But Mr. Smith is right to point out that we continue to overspend on the ongoing maintenance and repairs, and we are looking very closely at that and working closely with ABSI to try and address that and reduce that overspend as quickly as we can. So that work is ongoing, but the headlines really are that we continue to invest in council homes and significant investment that has never been seen before this administration came into place. So that is a track record that I'm certainly very proud of, and I'm sure Cabinet are as well. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Councillor Williams. Very, very pleased to see that continued investment. And again, as those risks reduce within the housing portfolio this year, again, we're hoping that that investment will ramp up as we're able to release more funds into investing in properties. So again, thank you for that. So the report has been moved and seconded. You've had the technical advice. Everybody happy to agree the report? Thank you very much. That is carried. So we'll move then to item 9, which is the first quarter performance monitoring report. Councillor Hopkins.
Yeah, thanks, Leader. Quarter 1 makes a strong start of the year with tangible progress across all 6 corporate wellbeing objectives. The majority of delivery steps and successes measures the performance indicators remain on track despite ongoing financial and operational pressures. The Council continues to demonstrate effective use of resources and committed to transparency and continuous improvement and outcomes for residents. From safeguarding people from harm, transformation of adult services is progressing well with the early help hub and reablement capacity growing. Hospital discharges and delays have reduced and more children will be supported to remain at home. Workforce capacity and resilience remain quite critical in this area, and I must admit. Improving educational skills, school attendance and behaviour improvements have improved, exclusions are down, and all indicators of teaching and learning are good. Major schools estate projects, i.e. the Ysgol Carolan, are on track. Transforming the economy and infrastructure, business grants are nearly fully allocated. Major schemes, major events like the Wales Air Show and Armed Forces Day boosted the economy and visitors. City centre regeneration advancing. Copper Bay 2 have been approved. 71 and 72 Kingsway have opened, and community benefit clauses have exceeded targets. Tackling poverty and enabling communities, over £500,000 in grant have been distributed, and the free bus scheme returned this summer. What I would say, the recommendations are on page 32. One thanks to Richard Rowlands for actually preparing the report, and the 2 recommendations I'd like formally to move, Leader.
Okay, thank you very much, Councillor Hopkins. I'll happily second the report, and I'll open it up as per usual to cabinet members who may want to add some comments from their portfolio perspectives. Councillor Gwilliam.
Yeah, thank you, Leader. Cabinet member just touched on actually early help for adult services. We've appointed a principal officer, so we're making great progress in moving forward with our target operating model, which is not only the right thing to do for our population, but also lessens the demand on statutory care services. We aim to keep people living well and promoting wellbeing and independence for as long as possible. I'd also, in Alison Anthony's absence, likes to touch on the significant amount of investment in awarding grants to local groups to enable them to have food support, activities and events for children and families along with our over 50s, coupled with a free bus service, which has enabled people to get out and about. I can give two examples where families have had food support. They've got on the free bus and they've been able to access a beach for a lovely day out. And thankfully, we've had some fantastic weather this summer. In addition to that, a head teacher who contacted to comment that despite some of the children, local children, not being able to afford a holiday this year, they'd had the summer of their lives thanks to the park investment, having free food on site and having family fun days. So that's speaks volumes and is really heartwarming to hear. We've also launched the grants for the winter period, the Here For You Now campaign, which launched yesterday. So I would encourage engagement with local groups as councillors, and obviously we'll furnish that information out. But thanks to you, Leader, for continuing to support that investment. Thank you.
No problem. Thank you, Councillor Gwilym. Thank you for the work on those schemes, because I know they're absolutely valued by the communities that received them. Councillor Gibbard.
Yeah, just following on from what Councillor Gwilym said about the early help, it's really great that we're making a really good progress in that area, and you can see how that we are reducing slightly. It's going to be a long progress, but we're going in the right way, reducing that managed care. I particularly wanted to highlight that after a really challenging period, the discharge delays from hospitals have fallen significantly because of some of the measures that we've been put in place there. Obviously, as we head into the winter period, we've got plans to make sure that progress doesn't sort of drop, and even in other areas where we might be coming up as red as a performance indicator, we are still moving really in the right direction, particularly around our reablement, which has been so successful. The residential reablement of Bonamine House, for example, and then moving that into the community reablement as well. As Councillor Hopkins mentioned, we are, there is still the challenges around our workforce capacity, but we have recruited lots of alternatively qualified staff to support with those early help roles, for example, at Councillor Gwilym mentioned. So some great progress over the summer.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, Councillor Gibbard. And again, absolutely right to point out the really good progress being made in terms of delayed transfers of care and getting people out of hospital and back into either their homes or into care facilities. And that is really helping to take pressures off the health service as part of the work that we're doing as local authorities. So thank you very much for that. Councillor Smith. Okay.
Yes, thank you, Leader. And I'd echo what Councillor Hopkins has said in terms of the progress that is to be reported within education and skills, paying particular attention to what he mentioned in relation to improved attendance and behaviour. And although we have made progress, but we're not complacent, and we want to build on what's been achieved, work to support leaders, and also the progress has been made in improving the infrastructure of the education system in Swansea. And I think all of those are areas where we've made progress, but we want to build on that progress now moving forward. And I think also recognising that there are areas for further development. The demand for additional learning needs is increasing, and it's a matter of not just responding, but of planning for how we respond to that in future. We've identified issues around literacy and numeracy which need to be addressed, and also with our aims for Welsh medium, we are committed to expanding Welsh medium education through the WESP, and it's how we go about meeting demand and also looking to the future, how that might be expanded in future and can be expanded in future, Leader.
Yeah, thank you, Councillor Smith. I fully agree with that. And again, no, it's not key to this report, but good to see the excellent results from our GCSE and A-level students in recent months. Again, Swansea, performing really well across our schools estate, and well done to the teachers and pupils in terms of those results. So, and just recognise that since we've had those results since the last meeting. Councillor Williams.
Yeah, thank you, Leader, and thank you to Councillor Hopkins for the report. We continue to see high rising numbers of people in emergency and temporary accommodation, but we are doing a number of things to mitigate against that. And my thanks to the teams for all the efforts and hard work that they're putting into bringing Llys Glas online, which will give us 68 additional units. And I hope to have a positive announcement very shortly, more news to come on that in terms of another similar type of accommodation, which is extremely high quality and will be a real asset to our portfolio. But in addition to that, we're also doing a number of different things to bring new homes online and to add to our stock. So in January 2026, we will see 13 brand new homes at Brondig in Manselton, delivered by our building services team. They've done an absolutely fantastic job. And if anybody is driving past, they're well worth a look. The quality is superior. And also with our Garden Village Persimmon development, by the end of this year, we should see 21 properties through Section 106 handed over to us. And over the 5 to 6 years of that development, in total, we will have 141 council homes, half of which will be low-cost home ownership, which will be a real asset and the first time as a council that we've ever done this. And in addition to that, this first quarter in performance, we've also bought back 12 properties from ex-council right to buys, bringing those back into our stock. So a huge amount going on behind the scenes to make sure that our stock continues to increase to meet that demand that we know that we see in Swansea. And very, very, sincere thanks to all the teams for all the hard work they're doing to bring that about.
Yeah, thank you, Councillor Williams. And again, thanks for the work that you and your teams are doing to continue to deliver more houses and homes for Swansea. Again, it's often important to remind people we lost over 4,000 homes through right to buy. The money from the purchases of those homes was not provided back to the council. It was given to the Treasury in London and used for other purposes. And there's no way we can forget that with 6,500 to 8,000 people, depending on how you look at it, on the waiting list, the fact that we lost 4,000 homes through that process is no coincidence. And again, I think the blame for the housing crisis and the homelessness crisis should lie exactly where it should sit, through the root causes, and as the Thatcher government and the Tory policies that they pursued over 30 years. So very pleased that we're starting to turn the tide on that and to build homes for people in Swansea. So thank you for that. Thank you all for your comments. Are there any other comments or questions from Cabinet members? Other than that, thank you, Councillor Hopkins, for bringing the report. You've moved it. I've seconded it. Are you all in favour of approval? Thank you very much, colleagues. That is approved. We'll move then to item 10, which is the proposal to amalgamate Blaenau Maes and Portmead Primary Schools. Councillor Smith.
Thank you, Leader. And can I thank all of those officers who took part in preparing this report, and in particular the report author, Michelle Thomas, for the work that's gone in to making this report available and such a comprehensive account of the consultation process, and also to those officers who were involved in the consultation process itself, because I think that is an important step forward. As the title of the report says, this is a consultation on the amalgamation of Portmead and Blaenau Maes primary schools. And I think it's quite clear from that consultation that there were concerns about amalgamation as proposed in the consultation. Although I think it's important to remember that this is a first step towards providing new school facilities for those two communities. We know the condition of both Portmead and Blaenau Maes is below what we want our children in Swansea to be educated, and I think it's important that we do focus on the ultimate goal, which is brand new state-of-the-art facilities and significant investment in those facilities for the communities of Portmead and Blaenau Maes. Having said that, I think it was clear from the concerns expressed that there were genuine issues around the workload involved for one head teacher operating in both schools, one head teacher operating across the two schools at a time when a new curriculum is bedding down within our primary schools in Swansea, as in all parts of Wales, and given the amount of work that's involved both socially and in managing the school estate in Portmead and Blaenau Maes. So to that effect, and to respond to that, what is being proposed is that there is no amalgamation until 2030, and that would bring any amalgamation much closer to the date when the new school, the state-of-the-art facilities, which we all are committed to delivering, would be available on a site for that community leader. So I'm happy to move the report and recognise, and hopefully others will recognise, that we have taken on board the comments made in the consultation.
Yeah, thank you, Councillor Smith, and thank you for the work you've done along with the officers to get us to this point. Like yourself, was really useful to hear from head teachers the concerns they had, along with their chairs of governors, about when amalgamation took place. And I think, again, my reflection of the meeting with those individuals was that every one of them was in favour of a new build school. Every one of them wants to see that school created for their communities, but it was the timing of the amalgamation that was the issue, given the pressures that you outlined quite rightly there. I think where we've got to now is a much better position, and I think that should keep all parties happy in terms of how this proceeds. And just to make the point, this doesn't delay the delivery of the school. The school build still takes place in the same time frame. The only change really is the date at which the amalgamation takes place, and I think that is a sensible change to make. And again, as you outlined, both schools are at the end of their useful life in terms of their building structure. And again, we want to deliver the best possible facilities to this community that can possibly be delivered, and that's what this will do. So again, thank you, Councillor Smith, for that. Are there any comments or questions from Cabinet members on this? No. With that then, could I ask you all if you're in favour of the report, please? Thank you very much. That is carried. Next item is the Regional Economic Development Midterm Plan Review. Just a recap on this. When we adopted this plan back in January of 2022, and it covers the 4 local authority areas. In section 3, you've got there the ambitions that were set out, and they are about creating a resilient and sustainable, enterprising, ambitious, balanced and inclusive outcome in terms of the South Wales economy. Section 4 contains the mission statements that underpin that. And again, this review is very positive in terms of that sense check about are we proceeding in the right direction. So again, has full support across the 4 local authorities for this, and of course aligns to the work that we're doing both in the city deal. It will take account of the Celtic Freeport work. It will also take account of opportunities that we may see from the tidal lagoon, floating offshore wind, and other opportunities for our region. You may have seen yesterday the reports, which were quite critical, I think, of other regions in Wales, not critical of our region. And I think our region got a very good bill of health in terms of the review. So again, this will help us to again, sense check we're on the right track, make sure that our plans are sensible and achievable. And again, very pleased to see this review here today. So recommendation is there on page 322, and I'm very happy to move it. Opening up for seconder, Councillor Williams.
Thank you, Leader. Very happy to formally second, and it's great to see such a really positive review, acknowledging all the incredible work that's going on at the moment. So great to see that all captured in one report. Excellent.
Thank you very much, Councillor Lewis. Any other Cabinet members for questions or comments? If not, then it's been moved and seconded. Could I ask you all if you're in favour of the report, please? Thank you. That is carried. So we move now on to agenda item 12, which is the St Thomas waterfront site redevelopment. Obviously, this was originally proposed in Councillor Francis Davis's name, but he's now on a leave of absence, so I'll take that in his absence on this occasion. You'll know that we have the full river corridor strategy in place at the present time. That has multiple elements to it, including some of the elements already delivered, including Penderyn and the developments around the new Swansea.com stadium. Obviously, the skyline development and the tourism impacts proposed for Kilvey Hill and the broader community, the enhancements to the river corridor in terms of the walkways and accessibility, but then importantly the St Thomas station site, which could lend itself to a fantastic waterfront site redevelopment connecting the city closer to the community of St Thomas, with some improved accessibility, but also some excellent new housing, including affordable homes within that development. I know a number of cabinet members have been involved in the delivery of this, and they may wish to comment on this one, but this allows Urban Splash to take that development forward and for us to see the delivery of some homes along that river corridor. So again, very pleased to bring this report and formally move it, and I'll open it up for cabinet members to comment further on the proposals. Councillor Williams.
Thank you, Leader. Very, very happy to formally second. It's great to see stage 1 of the project plan for this site before us today. Obviously, I'm seconding to particularly welcome the 50% of affordable homes on the site. So that will be 80 homes in total, which will be a great addition. And some of those will be social housing as well. So really excellent to see that come into such a prominent, well-placed, well-located site with some fantastic connections to the river corridor and the active travel routes. So very pleased to see this and very happy to second. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Williams. Any other cabinet members would like to comment or on the report? If not, then we'll move to the vote. The recommendations are there on page 375. Please show if you're in favour of the report, please. Thank you. That again is carried. Item 13 is exclusion of the public. You've got the rationale laid out there on page 454 and 455 as to the reasons for exclusion. Are you all happy to agree? Thank you very much.